It started like so many college stories do, with two friends leaving a movie, laughing under the streetlights, and walking back to campus on a cool January night. They should have arrived home within minutes, but they never made it. What followed would haunt a town, terrify a generation of students, and leave behind more questions than answers. This case isn't just about what happened, it's about everything that didn't. Missed chances, misdirection, and the silence that has stretched for decades. This is the story of a brutal mystery that unfolded in the hills of West Virginia, a place where danger wasn't supposed to touch the lives of students, but it did. This is the story of Ferrell and Mared Malarik. Hello, friends. My name is Marcia, and this is Midwest Murders. In 1970, Morgantown was a growing college town nestled along the Monongahela River in northern West Virginia. West Virginia University was the crown jewel of the city, drawing in thousands of students from across the state and beyond. It was a time of change, culturally, politically, and socially. The university, like many across the country, was experiencing the tail end of the 1960s counterculture movement. Anti-war protests, demands for civil rights, and a pushback against traditional norms created an atmosphere of tension and transformation. Still, Morgantown remained, in many ways, insulated. It was considered safe, tightly knit, a place where young people came to learn, not fear for their lives. Karen Ferrell, age 18, was from Quinwood, West Virginia. A freshman at West Virginia University, she was petite, just 5 foot tall, weighing 90 pounds, with short sandy hair. She grew up as an only child in a modest, reserved, and religious household, and was considered by those who knew her as shy and kind. Mared Malarik, age 19, was from Kennelon, New Jersey. She too was a freshman at the university. At 5'6" and 105 pounds, she was the complete opposite of Karen. Her father was a successful dentist, and she was well-traveled, outgoing, and considered high-strung. She was well-liked by those who knew her. Karen and Mared lived on the same floor in Westchester Hall. Although they really had nothing in common, they became fast friends and had planned to live together off campus the following year. While the exact time is unknown, the girls left their dorm just after dark on Sunday, January 18, 1970. As freshmen were not allowed to have vehicles of their own, they headed out on foot toward the Metropolitan Movie Theater in Morgantown to see the movie Oliver. It is known that they stopped at the Sunnyside Superette, where Mared cashed a $10 check. While no one ever came forward to say they saw the girls walking from the Superette to the theater, it is assumed they did so, a walk of about 6 blocks. Paulette Burns and her boyfriend Clarence Lewis were friends of the girls, and they were also in the theater that evening. The girls took seats behind them. At 10:45 p.m., the group left the theater, with Mared and Karen saying that they planned to hitchhike back to the dorm. In 1970, hitchhiking was a common practice for young people, especially around the college campus. The group walked up High Street, with Mared and Karen in front of Paulette and Clarence. At the intersection of Wiley and High, the group turned left toward the nearest bus stop. Paulette and Clarence crossed over to the north side of the street. As they passed the chemistry building, they turned around to check on the girls and noticed that Mared and Karen were now behind them on the same side of the street. Moments later, as Paulette and Clarence were continuing on toward the bus stop, they noticed a vehicle drive by. Mared was in the middle front seat, and Karen was on the passenger side. Neither girl looked at or returned the wave of Paulette as they passed, and neither Paulette nor Clarence, despite published reports to the contrary, actually saw the girls get in the car or thumbing for a ride. They described the car as a full-size 4-door light or cream-colored, resembling a Cadillac or Plymouth. The driver was a white male in his early 20s, wearing a light-colored shirt or jacket. The car drove north on University Avenue and out of sight. When the girls failed to show for the midnight curfew that night, their friends knew something was wrong. They immediately notified dorm assistant Gwen McClure, and she reported the girls missing to Morgantown police. Although police issued a 13-state missing persons bulletin and tracked down false leads and rumors during the first week the girls went missing, it seems not much else was done. My research indicates that police and the university felt the girls had just walked away, and little effort was put into trying to find them. Their fellow students, however, kept their story alive, raising reward money, sending letters to the governor asking for FBI assistance, and demanding action from the university. There was finally a break in the case on March 1st when 13-year-old Ralph Trickett, looking for discarded pop bottles in a rural area 11 miles south of Morgantown, found Mared's purse just off US 119 near the Taylor County line between Morgantown and Grafton. According to police, the purse was very wet because it had been in the weather for quite some time. It contained 13 cents, a comb, mirror, dental receipt, and Mared's current West Virginia student ID card. A brief search by city police of the immediate area turned up no additional evidence. In early April, West Virginia Governor Arch A. Moore, Jr. reported receiving a letter from Cumberland, Maryland, suggesting that another search of the area where Mared's purse was found should be conducted. The contents of this letter was published in local papers, but dismissed by law enforcement officials. Nevertheless, a more active search for the girls in the rural area south of Morgantown began on April 5th. The Monongahela County Rescue Team joined the search on April 11th and located a pair of eyeglasses that were identified as belonging to Mared. Several days later, the National Guard joined the search, and a prescription bottle belonging to Mared, as well as a brown suede handbag identified as belonging to Karen, were found on Hollick Road about 4/10 of a mile from where Mared's purse was found 6 weeks earlier. At 11 a.m. on April 17, 1970, National Guardsman Steve Slavinsky found the bodies of Mared and Karen near the abandoned Weirton Mine off County Road 76, 8 miles south of Morgantown. Their badly decomposed bodies were headless and laid between two logs in a grave covered by tree limbs and flat rocks in a thickly wooded area 100 yards off an access road. Both bodies were fully clothed, despite news reports to the contrary. Following the discovery of the bodies, volunteer firemen from the Westover and Clinton fire districts pumped out a sump hole near the mine, as well as a marshy pond just below where the bodies were found, looking for additional clues. None were found. A memorial service was held for both girls on the university campus. Mared was laid to rest in St. Mary's Cemetery in Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Karen was laid to rest in Wallace Memorial Cemetery in Clintonville, West Virginia. No real suspects were ever developed in this case. Then, in 1976, 6 years after the murders, Eugene Clawson confessed to the killings. He was already incarcerated on unrelated charges, and he was, based on his confession, eventually convicted of the murders. He would later file an appeal after recanting his confession. His conviction was overturned in 1977. In 1980, he was tried again and again convicted, although the jury recommended leniency in his sentencing. Clawson has always maintained that he did not kill Karen and Mared and made the confession up based on news reports he had read. Many in law enforcement agree. Sarah McLaughlin and Jeff Fuller, two authors, have written a book about the case. They also agree that Clawson did not commit the murders. I have linked their book in the description below in case you're interested. Eugene Clawson was a drifter with a violent past and a chilling history of assault. However, there were no eyewitnesses, no physical evidence linking him to the scene, just his confession and a community desperate for answers. Even today, many people believe he did not kill those two young women. Some say the timing doesn't match. Others point to inconsistencies in the investigation. And then there are the rumors about powerful people, cover-ups, and what might have really happened in those woods. More than 5 decades have passed since that night in 1970, but the shadows of this case still stretch across Morgantown. Justice may have been served on paper, but the truth? That remains buried with Karen and Mared, and guarded by the silence that's lasted ever since. If you have any thoughts or theories about this case, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and may the truth reveal itself in the shadows.